Hilchos Kiddush Hachodesh Perek Shmini, the laws of sanctifying the new month, chapter 8. The Rambam is in the middle of giving us the basics of how to calculate the calendar, the Jewish calendar as we have it today. And we discussed the topic of the molad, the concept that every month the moon comes around the earth and meets up with the sun again. And that's typically when we want to establish Rosh Chodesh, the new month. But like we saw yesterday, there are some times that we delay Rosh Chodesh. We don't set it on the day of the molad, especially when it comes to Rosh Hashanah. And today, the Rambam is going to continue as it relates to the rest of the months of the year. How do we decide when to make a month 29 days and when to make it 30 days? Because if you think about it, it takes the moon between 29 and 30 days, 29 and a half days to make a full revolution. We can't make months out of 29 and a half days. So some months we do 29, some months we do 30. And the Rambam will tell us why and which ones are 29 and which ones are 30. So the Rambam says, Halacha Aleph, Chodshah Shel Levana, a lunar month, Tisha ve'esrim yom u'mechetza, v'tafshin tzaddik gimul chalakim, k'moshe b'yarnu, is 29 and a half days and 793 parts. Remember, every hour is divided into 1,080 units. So 29 days, 12 hours, that's half a day, plus 793 out of the next hour. So therefore we have a problem. When should we make the new month? It's impossible to say that the new month should be in the middle of the day. Such that part of the day, Tuesday morning will be part of the last month, and Tuesday afternoon is going to be the part of the next month. Shenemar, because it says, Ad chodesh yamim, until a month of days. This verse is actually not in such a positive sense. It's in the middle of a pretty tragic story. The Jewish people in the desert decided that they were sick of the manna. They were sick of the man. They told Moshe Rabbeinu, we want meat. So what did Hashem do? Hashem said, the slav, I'm going to give you the quail, the birds. But not just I'm going to give you the quail, I'm going to give you so many birds that you're going to have so much meat. Ad chodesh yamim, you're going to eat it for a month. Ad asher yetzei me'apchem v'haya lachem lezarah. It's going to come out of your nose. It's going to be so disgusting. And then ultimately people were actually killed. It became a plague. It was a very negative time in Jewish history. But nevertheless, what does it say in the verse? Ad chodesh yamim, until a month of days, which means that a month can only be made up of full days. We learn from tradition, you can only calculate days into a month. You cannot calculate hours. So what do we do? Beis. Therefore, we make some of the lunar months lacking, 29 days, even though technically the moon hasn't finished a full cycle yet. It's going to take 29 and a half days. But other months we make full months, 30 days, which means the moon already began its next cycle, but we're still in the middle of the last month. A lacking month only has 29 days. Even though it may be true that the lunar month is a little bit longer than that, a couple of hours longer. And a full month is 30 days. Even though the lunar month is a little bit less than that by a couple of hours. So we escape the problem. We don't have to have hours in a month, we just have days. Now, the Rambam gives us some simple math. Gimel ilu haya chodesh shel levana tisha ve'esrim yom u'mechetza bilvad. If the lunar month was actually 29 and a half days exactly, 29 days and 12 hours, that would be easy. Hayu kol hashanim chodesh malei v'chodesh chaser. So every year, the whole year would go 29, 30, 29, 30, 20. It's easy. V'yiyu yemei shnas halavana shleish meis v'arba v'chamishim. And we would have exactly a lunar year of 354 days. If you add up 29 times 6 and 30 times 6, that equals 354 days exactly. Shisha chadashim chaserim, v'shisha chadashim aleim. We'll have 6 lacking months and 6 full months. But the truth is, it takes a little bit more. 29 and a half days plus 793. And those little amount of parts, even though each month they seem very little, but they add up to a lot. And they would end up making a huge difference if we just kept going 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30. Then yiskabitz mehen shoyis v'yamim. It adds up. It accumulates some hours, some days even. Ad sheyiyu miktas hashanim chadashim chaserim yesar al hamaleim. And therefore we must do the following system. In some years, we have to have more lacking months than full months. Over miktas hashanim chadashim maleim yesar al chaserim. And in other years, we have to have more full months than lacking months. And the Rambam will soon give us the list of what we do. But if you see over here, this is the lunar year. The lunar year is 354 days, 8 hours total, and 876 parts. So you see that each year, you're getting this difference that you have to account for. 8 days and 876 parts. 8 hours, and 876 parts. So for example, after 3 years,
so each part
this difference could add up to...
seconds.
Yeah,
each part 3 1/3 seconds.
3 1/3 seconds.
So 8 hours or 8.5 hours is a lot. After 3 years, that's 24 hours already. So you have to account for that. So the Rambam says first a couple of ground rules, and then we'll get to the details. Dalit. Day 30, when you begin counting from any month, from Aleph of any month, the 30th day will be Rosh Chodesh. Either it will be the actual first day of the next month, or even if it's day 30 of the last month, we're still going to call it Rosh Chodesh. If the past month is lacking, day 30 will be the beginning of the next month, Aleph of the next month. If the past month is a full month, anyways, we're going to create Rosh Chodesh on day 30. And the Rambam says an interesting reason for this. Since part of it is indeed the new month, it only takes 29.5 days for the moon to get around. So even if we're not going to count the days in the calendar, but the fact is, sometime during this day, the moon began a new cycle. So we're going to call it Rosh Chodesh. But it's going to be day 30, the completing day, the final day of the last month, which is full. And day 31 will actually be Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the next new month. From it we will begin to count, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, etc. And that's the day we're going to fix as Rosh Chodesh. This is why today, when you open up your Jewish calendar, you see Rosh Chodesh, Chodesh Echad, Yom Echad Bilvat. The Chodesh Echad, Shnei Yamim. On your calendar it says some months Rosh Chodesh is only 1 day, and some months is 2 days. When the last month is lacking, it's only 1 day. When it's a full month, both day 30 and day 1 of the next month are both called Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so which months have which amount of days? Says the Rambam Halacha Hey. Seder HaChadashim HaMaleim VaHachaserim Lifi Cheshbon Zeh Kachu. The order of the months that are full and lacking, according to this calculation, goes like this. Tishrei La'olam Maleh. The month of Tishrei is always full, always 30 days. You can see it on the top. Now we're going to skip the next 2 months. Get back to them in a second. V'Teves La'olam Chaser. Teves is always 29. U'Miteves ve'ilach, from Tevet and on, Echad Maleh ve'Echad Chaser al HaSeder. It's 1 full, 1 lacking in order. Ketzah, what does it mean in order? Teves Chaser, Shvat Maleh. Tevet is lacking, Shvat is full, 30. Adar Chaser, Nisan Maleh. Adar is lacking, Nisan is full. Iyar Chaser, Sivan Maleh. Iyar is lacking, and Sivan is full, 30 days. Tammuz Chaser of Maleh, and Elul Chaser. Tammuz is lacking, Av is full, and Elul is lacking. Uvashana HaMe'uberes. In the leap year, we don't have any choices today based on testimony or witnesses or anything. We always go like this. Adar Rishon Maleh, Adar Sheni Chaser. Always. Like this year, at least a leap year, the first Adar is going to be full, 30 days. Second will be lacking. Okay, we didn't account for the 2 months over there. Nisharu Shnei Achadashim, says the Rambam Halacha Vav, it remains 2 months, Shein Mar Cheshvan B'Kislev. And these are the months that become the balancing months. Pa'amim Yiyu Shneim Meleim, sometimes we make them both full, both 30. Upa'amim Yiyu Shneim Chaserim, other times they're both lacking, they're both 29 days. Upa'amim Yiyu Mar Cheshvan Chaser V'Kislev Maleh, and sometimes Cheshvan is 29 and Kislev is 30, and then it's like literally a full pattern. So the Rambam says, V'shana sheyeh ba shnei chadashim elu meleim. A year in which we decide in the calendar to make them both full months, both 30-day months. Hisha nikru chadasheh hashleimim. This is a year which is called a year of complete months. V'shana sheyeh ba shnei chadashim elu chaserim, nikru chadasheh chaserim. A year in which both months are lacking, both months 29 days. That's called a year whose months are lacking. V'shana sheyeh ba mar cheshvan chaser v'kislev maleh, the year which we choose to make cheshvan 29 and kislev full, nikru chadasheha kisidran, is called the orderly year, because it literally follows the pattern, 30-29, 30-29, etc. Commentaries wonder why did we pick these 2 months to be the balancing months? Very good. So the classic answer from the Pirush, who's the primary commentator here, he says, they wanted to fix the year right in the beginning, as soon as we can. So why didn't we fix it in Tishrei? Because Tishrei is an important month. It has tzomot u'moadim, it has fasts and holidays. And so, because it's chashuv, we want to keep it full. Huh? That's why Cheshvan is called Mar Cheshvan, because it has no holidays. The Rebbe says possibly we want to keep Tishrei complete because we don't want to start the year off with a lacking month. Lacking is not a good sign in the beginning of something. Always start off full. And that's the reason why we balance it out only in Cheshvan and Kislev.
Kislev, I mean, isn't
Huh?
what's in Kislev? There's something in Kislev.
Kislev is a very Hasidic month. It's Hanukkah, yeah. But there's also a lot of Hasidic holidays. Also in Kabbalah it says that in the Torah we begin from Nisan. The count begins from Nisan, and Sivan would be the third month. Kislev is the third month from Tishrei, which is the way we count calendars now. In Kabbalah it says the count from Nisan is the tzaddikim, the tzaddik's path. The count from Tishrei is the Baal Tshuva's path. So a tzaddik always has a straight line. His life goes good. So from Nisan it's always clearly balanced. But if you go from Tishrei, like a Baal Tshuva hits some bumps in the road. That's why Cheshvan and Kislev right away, they had a little bump. Sometimes 29, sometimes 30, sometimes this, sometimes that. Yeah. So that's another reason, more of an inner reason, a mystical reason why we fix it only in those months. But either way, those are the months that we use to balance out this difference of a half an hour, a little more than half an hour in our calendar. Zayin, derech yedias hashana. There's a mathematical way to know about each year. If the months are going to be full, or lacking, or in order, according to our calculation. And the way to know it, kachu, it goes like this. You have to first figure out which day is going to be set as Rosh Hashanah in the year which you want to know the years about, the months about. Remember, because yesterday we learned that not every time do we make Rosh Hashanah on the day of the actual Molad. Some years we push it off. Like if it's on Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, we push it off. So you have to figure out which day is going to actually be Rosh Hashanah. As we explained in chapter 7. Then figure out which day will be Rosh Hashanah the next year. Then you calculate the amount of days in between them, literally weekdays in between them, besides for the day of each Rosh Hashanah. And it goes like this. If there's only 2 days in between, so one year Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbos, and the next year it's on Tuesday. So you have Sunday and Monday in between. You could know that year's days are going to be lacking. In other words, it's going to be 353 days. That's why, because 350 is a full cycle of 7 days, divisible by 7, and the last 3 days bring you to day 3 of the next Rosh Hashanah. If you have 3 days in between, one year it's Tuesday, let's say, the next year it's Shabbos, so you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in between. You can know it's going to be an accurate, exact year, 354 days. And therefore, the months will also be rotating in alternate fashion, 30 and 29. If you find 4 days in between, Rosh Hashanah is on Monday one year, and Shabbos the next year, so you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in between, you can know that the year is going to be a full year with full months, i.e. 355 days. And that's why it's 5 days later on the calendar. Says the Rambam, when do we say this rule? If the year you were trying to figure out the months is a regular year, not a leap year. But if it's a leap year, the days go a bit different. Instead of 2, 3, and 4 days, it's 4, 5, and 6 days. If the day between one Rosh Hashanah and the next Rosh Hashanah, after the leap year, is 4 days in the week, then the days of the months of that leap year will be lacking. It's going to be a year of 383 days, and that's why you have 4 days in between. If you find 5 days in between the Rosh Hashanahs, then it's going to be a regular year, an alternate year, and that's why you have 5 days in between, 384 days, because that's going to give you the alternate fashion. If you're going to find 6 days between the Rosh Hashanah and the leap year. And the next one, for example, they both begin on Shabbat. So between Shabbos and Shabbos, you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 6 days. Then you can know, Yiyu Shleimim, that the months of this leap year are going to be complete. They're both going to be Lamed, Cheshvan, and Kislev, will both have 30 days. Tess. The Rambam is always going to do this, by the way, from now to the end of these chapters. Whenever he gives you a theoretical principle, he's always going to apply it to a specific year. If we want to know the order of the months of this year, a certain year, the new year falls on Thursday. It's a regular year. And the next year, the new year is going to be on Monday. So we have 3 days in between. Yodanu, we now know that this year is going to be a year with the alternate fashion, the year in order, the months in order. Were the new year after it to be on Tuesday, we would know that the months of this year would be complete months. If this year, the regular year which we're calculating, the new year was on Shabbos, and the following year would be on Tuesday, the months of this year would be lacking because you only have 2 days in between. And in the same way, you calculate for the leap year, as we explained, 4, 5, and 6 days in between. What were you saying?
I'm saying that Rosh Hashanah fell on Shabbos this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what he's saying. I mean, we can work it out from this year.
Yes. This year it's Shabbos. Next year it's
going to be lacking.
Next year is
Thursday. So let's do it. Exactly. So this year is Shabbos. This year is Shabbos. Next year it's Thursday. It's a leap year. It's a leap year, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 days in between. That's a month. That's the year of lacking months. They're both going to be 29. That's exactly it. There you go. Very good. Practical application right there. Says the Rambam Halacha Yud. What if you're too confused to do math? Yesham simanim shetismech aleim. There are some signs, some foolproof, guaranteed signs that you can rely on. So you never make a mistake with knowing the order of the months of the year. They're all built on the principles of this calculation, and all the fixings and all the pushes off that we already explained. Here are the signs. Any year which the new year is on Tuesday, will always be a year of alternate order. Whether it's a regular year or a leap year, if the new year is on Tuesday, it's always kisidran. If the new year is on Shabbos or Monday, it can never be a year of alternate order. It's either lacking or it's full. Again, whether a leap year or a regular year. If the new year is on Thursday, if it's a regular year, a regular year is impossible to be a year that's lacking. If it's a leap year, it cannot be a year that has a year of alternate order. Now, it doesn't give you surefire signs for every type of year. But here are some basic principles that if you reach a conclusion, like you can know if it's a mistake, if it doesn't meet these criteria. But everything else, you have to use the math. If it's a regular year, 2, 3, 4 other days, and if it's a leap year, 4, 5, and 6 are the days that you use to figure out what kind of months you're going to have in that year.